How can you personalize your messaging to physicians for greater prescription intent? What are people saying about your brand? How can you make your marketing efforts more precise and effective? These and many more questions are answered on this podcast, which is here to serve as a playbook for all your pharma marketing needs. As your host, Soumya Prakash, co-founder of Multiplier AI Solutions, sits across pharma industry's top experts. This is your place to get all the insights about Gen AI, data, and beyond.
Hello and welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Pharma Marketing Playbook, Data, Gen AI and Beyond. Your go-to podcast for mastering pharmaceutical marketing, data analytics and AI trends. Join industry leaders as we explore cutting-edge strategies, the role of emerging technology and how data-driven insights are transforming the pharma landscape. Tune in for actionable insights and stay ahead in the fast evolving world of pharma. I'm Soumya Prakash, co founder at Multiplier AI, and today we have a very special guest joining us, Mr. Madhur Gopal. Mr. Madhur Gopal is a dynamic leader with over 20 years of experience in both the pharmaceutical and the healthcare sector, having an impressive career across some of the most renowned organizations in the industry. With a bachelor's degree in microbiology, chemistry, and botany from Kurukshetra University and an MBA in healthcare management from ITM Group of Institutions, Mr. Madhur combines a strong academic foundation with a passion for innovation in healthcare. He began his career as a PSO, professional sales officer at Pfizer, gaining valuable experience in patient safety, and then he quickly progressed to key roles such as brand manager at Elder Healthcare and Biocon, and later marketing manager at Fortis Healthcare. His strategic acumen was further demonstrated in leadership roles as Deputy General Manager, Yashoda Hospitals, and Assistant General Manager at Fortis Healthcare, where he led branding and strategic initiatives. His versatile career also includes consultancy with Globe Telecom and serving as CEO of RX Press. Currently, as Associate Vice President of Marketing at Manipal Hospitals, Mr. Madhur Gopal leads transformative strategies in healthcare marketing and branding. With his wealth of experience, he is a staunch advocate for patient-first approach and leverages innovation as a critical driver of growth in evolving healthcare landscape. Welcome to the show, sir, and we are very glad that you've joined us today.
Thank you, Soumya. Pleasure is all mine. Thanks for inviting me to the show.
So you have a very remarkable journey, right from starting as a PSO at Pfizer in pharma, and now today as Associate Vice President of Marketing at Manipal Hospitals, which is truly remarkable. So we would want to know what initially draw you to the healthcare sector, and how has your career evolved over the years?
So, the if I have to really think through from where this whole motivation came to healthcare, me to be a doctor, I wanted to be a fashion designer. I think somewhere in between, handling marketing in healthcare, that's where I landed. Uh, uh, but if I look back, what happened was that uh, I chose, microbiology as you were mentioning, because that was the closest to being a doctor. And while I was doing that, I realized that if I have to utilize what I'm learning, it's better to be in healthcare. Then I chose to do MBA in healthcare, which was more specialized. Joined pharma, and being in Pfizer, there was a lot of emphasis on, uh, learning the product. Product knowledge becomes very key in pharma sector. So while I continued to grow there, and then I had opportunity to launch anti-obesity drugs, and there was some, to large extent when we started moving into direct to consumer marketing also in some of the uh, part portfolio which I was managing. I think that's when I started liking. While I was in Elder, it was the same year when we sponsored film fair for 3 years, and there was the opportunity to actually work with my colleagues who were working on that entire program. And somehow, this whole liking towards this role continued, because what I like is doing marketing, right? So now healthcare is something which, over a period of time, I have learned a lot of things in this space, which I feel that, over a period of time, after certain years, it's the value you get of your experience. So what you know in healthcare is something industry will value, and then give a premium on that. So that's how I kind of continued in this vertical. And but more, I think more important, what I would like to say is, whatever we do, we should enjoy, and that's what I really have fun doing things what I'm doing. So it's never, sometimes people get really frustrated, what the hell am I doing, my personal life, professional life, and all that stuff I keep hearing. But my only thing which I tell them is, there is no personal professional, life is one. You just move from one office to another office, right? So your personality doesn't change. So choosing a portfolio or choosing work which you enjoy, I think that's more critical, and I am enjoying what I'm doing. So that's how I kind of landed, and then continuing in this industry.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful to hear. Having fun at what we do is so critical because if we just take it as set of responsibilities, I think it just becomes too hard along the journey. And healthcare is a tough vertical,
Yeah,
specifically when we are looking at healthcare as a provider. It has much more challenges. There's an element of service to it, and COVID has taught how important healthcare can be. It is literally, it's now top of every government's agenda. I think post
yeah,
COVID, healthcare and digitization, and it's very nice to know that your creative instincts drove you here, and right from the maybe the days when you were looking for being a fashion designer. That's very interesting, actually. Like a lot of good thoughts there. So, with your extensive experience in branding and strategy at institutions like Yashoda, SiteCare, and now at Manipal. You have such a deep wealth of knowledge. We would definitely like to know from a strategic and a branding perspective, what do you think are the key elements of a successful healthcare branding strategy? Because this is very industry specific also.
yeah. Yeah. So two parts. I think pharma is more B2B if I exclude consumer division in that. Whereas healthcare, which I specifically in hospitals, it has a combination of B2B and B2C, right? So if I have to put a context, there is a sales team which goes to referral doctors, and for expectation to get referrals to hospitals. And then there is a B2C component which is in there. And also, then there is a part where you have your own star doctors, which you need to kind of manage. So, this triangle is something which makes marketing in healthcare little more complicated. It's not that easy. However, basics remain same, but these are three broad pillars on which marketing stand in healthcare. So first, I'll take few minutes to explain, what uh, are the key lessons on these verticals, and then the emerging factor which is happening in our industry is more on integrated marketing, where I think industry is still yet to gain that momentum, because these many of the time these vertical does not speak to each other, right?
Mm.
So I think that's where the whole marketing is. If I have to talk pillars wise, is something should someone should know how do we manage these pillars in hospital and healthcare industry specifically, right? So now coming to doctors, right now, I'm saying from a referral doctor perspective. So now nothing changes there. Like what we do in pharmaceutical companies, it's how do I position my services. When I go to a referral doctor, am I able to tell the story of my services which I am providing to the patient? So now in that case, what is critical is, in pharma we have products, right? We have brands which we want to kind of establish. In healthcare, we have services, and that's where, as a sales guy, I should know this referral doctor has the capability of referring what kind of patient. For example, if there's a doctor who is consulting high-end patient in his clinic, and the expectation for him is to have clean rooms, bigger rooms, good services, and he already know that clinical outcome is good at your hospital, right? So as a sales guy, I should be able to give that information, how my room looks like, because many of the times we just forget. We just say that you can send for angioplasties, for these procedure, you can send refer your patient to me. And that's where I think this whole customization of the communication is something which becomes critical. And this customization can happen from one doctor to another, but I think that's something which is important. Second is, what is the value add I do to referral doctor? It can be a nursing home tie up, it can be anything. I think the whole point is from wherever the referral is coming, what do I do as a value add to that partner, right? So they are the partners, they are referring patient to us, there is a relationship going on. But many of the times, am I putting myself in the shoes of my customer who is referring to me? And that's where the whole thing comes. And we at least, we have created many such programs. For example, if there's a nursing home who is referring patient to us, what kind of training we can provide to those nurses, what kind of medical legal training we can provide to the owner of that nursing home. As a doctor, referral doctor, what kind of training we can provide to their customer care staff who is sitting outside. Because for us, it's something which is basic, we do this in and out, but for them it becomes a value add, right? However, end of the day, the whole experience of the patient who are going to their clinic also enhances, right? So, and the third piece really is more on how do I really go ahead and, from a value add perspective only, but what do I do with my referral doctor so his practice also increases? Because once his practice increases, I'm sure he would, see the, the positive side from our side as well, that these guys are genuine and trying to build good relationship. So broadly, I would say, and then we have a corporate engagement, because TPA insurance are growing, and the large growth is coming apart from retail, is coming from the corporate segment. So companies, and when I say corporate, these are like companies like, your TCS, Infosys, and all other banking sectors. So if automotive and all that, right? So what do we do with them? What kind of engagement we are doing with them? Because if you go to any corporate today, their challenges are different, right? Someone has a challenge of obesity. As a healthcare player, can I do something to combat obesity in their organization? Because it will improve the likelihood or longevity of life, as well as the productivity of employees in their corporate. There are some like Toyota, if you go, the workers there, right? It are people who are in manufacturing. Tobacco, chewing tobacco or tobacco consumption is a larger issue. Can I do something creating awareness in those things, right? You go to many of the IT companies today, mental issues are becoming growing faster. Can I do something to combat those issues, right? So I think there is a huge list of topics I can continue talking. The point is, what am I doing with my partners to value add in their day-to-day work from a health perspective, or wherever I can add the value, right? So then the second thing comes, which is our doctors, right? How do we build marketing around them? So now that's also part of marketing, right? So it's like stars. Can my doctor be an influencer? Can my doctor be a star? So when most of our doctor, when they join you, they may not be stars at that point of time, right? So but then marketing takes that job and make sure that they grow in their career, they become stars, and once they become stars, they start adding a lot of value back to the organization or back to the hospital, right? So again, it's a long list. I don't want to get into that at this point of time, but that's another piece. Third piece is more on B2C marketing, where we are talking directly to consumer, and that's where today the marketing has changed completely. So there was a time when, as a marketers from hospitals, we were targeting episodic treatment approach. For example, if someone has a knee issue or they want to go for knee replacement, I go to the patient, market my knee replacement, patient come, get the procedure done, and then things kind of get over, right? So today that approach is changing, and I think that's where, with the advent of new technologies, with the possibilities of staying in touch at a low cost with your customer base. It's a long term association which we can build with our customers. So it's not episodic, but it's a kind of lifetime connect, and how we can really go ahead and add value again back to the consumer also. So that is one piece where marketing is changing slowly. It's becoming more personalized, more targeted, and it's providing the right approach to the customer at the right point of time. And if I have to add one example, in fact, I was talking to Gurmeet from Cora last week, I guess. One other thing which came out was that when people go to Quora, they are in discovery phase. They don't know what they want to do, and that's why they are there at Quora, because they are looking for some answers. And that's where we were kind of trying to find a solution, that is there a way we can educate customer to take the right decision, because healthcare is a category people don't know what they are getting into. When we buy a car, when we buy any material for that matter, at least we know, we do a lot of research, we know what we are buying. When people get into healthcare, they just don't know, even just before the procedure, 10 minutes before procedure, they don't know what they're getting into, right? So for any patient to make an informative call is not easy, it's very difficult. And that's where I think, how can neutral parties, how can third parties can help customer to take the right choice, so that their medical outcomes are good, their quality of life is good, and when they go back post their procedures, they are as productive or more productive than what they were before. Because it is not mortality reduction anymore. It is someone gets a heart attack, get angioplasty done, back to the they they survive. I think that's not the target anymore, right? The target for hospitals today is, when someone gets heart attack, they get angioplasty. When they go back to their work, how active they are. Because a person, someone, imagine if someone gets a heart attack at the age of 52, 53, when they go back to their work, he might be at a peak of his career. He has another 6, 7 years to really grow up with the ladder. But if his productivity quotient comes down, and he feel lethargic, lazy all the time, that growth opportunity is gone out from him. Now, this is something which many people may not know, but that's where the procedure at a right place makes all the difference, right? So how do we kind of educate these customers? And that's where the whole, piece of marketing, I would say, if I have to give some of these tips, I think this is something which is critical. And if we are able to establish these things, and that's what we say, that end result, patient choosing you, is the outcome of something if you are doing right. You have a good product, you have to do right things. Go ahead and educate your customers, they should choose your services. So, and healthcare as a category, I think, from a marketing perspective, again, there is a lot of trust deficit in the industry. Every patient thinks I am going to be shaved once I walk into the hospital, and that makes the job little more difficult for any marketer in this industry, right? So even if you are genuine in your communication, a customer may not see like that. So that makes job difficult. But I think genuinity in, from a communication to actual experience, if it is there in the overall patient journey, my guess is patient will feel that. And once they feel the genuine effort coming from any brand, healthcare brand, they would definitely go ahead and choose and recommend that service to others. And the reason why I'm saying this, because as a marketing guy, my job is not only to communicate what I think will influence customers choice, but also to make ensure whatever I'm communicating, patient is experiencing the same thing when they walk into the hospital. So my job doesn't end with communication. I should walk into the hospital, see what my customers are going through, if the experience is same or not what I'm communicating. So that would be some of my tips to people who are in healthcare marketing. I think that can help quite a bit.
I think these are like decades of experience summarized so simply. It's actually, I think it can open up research topics in so many ways. The way you beautifully summarized especially from a provider's perspective, how complex marketing is. Because here we're not talking of one segment of customers. In fact, we are talking of interaction with referral doctors, we are talking of interactions and communication with our internal doctors, we are talking of communication with patients, and of course, the other financial and other ecosystem partners. It's extremely varied, complex, and everybody's needs and I think objectives are not exactly the same. Aligning everybody together as a provider when you are daily firefighting, literally with life and death, in itself is like no less than an army's job. So I
Right.
think, a great hats off to the whole team that does so much behind the scene. And we hardly realize how much complex things get, when it gets to marketing or branding any single thing. Because as you mentioned, patient trust deficit becomes such an enemy to true marketing. And until and unless they have that confidence that I am in safe hands, any marketing can just backfire.
True.
And the digital advent, we have seen patients getting misinformed more than informed. And this is again a big challenge for marketeers. How do we erase that, the wrong perception that they are carrying about a particular thing, because they read somewhere something, and it just completely influences them, and they have 10 questions to the physicians. And sometimes the physicians don't have the patience. They
Yeah.
say that, don't treat me like a Google doctor yourself. And these are real challenges. So thank you so much. I think there's a lot of things that we need to do together, and you brought up a lot of things, that their points for consideration. And you also mentioned the key role of leveraging data and technology. And a lot of our viewers, listeners, they are interested to know how data and technology can actually help patients get more personalized experiences. How is Manipal, or how is in your experience, how is the industry looking at it?
So, yeah, as I was mentioning, right, marketing is moving more personalized, targeted, right? And that's where the whole CDP concept is coming in. Now, what CDP layers are able to provide to us is for every patient, we can create a overall path journey. And when we are creating these path journeys, we can bring in multiple in this points, right? So our data can flow in from the HIS, which is Health Information System. Their vitals can flow in from there. Data can also flow in from the other, sources of Google or YouTube, based on the search what they are doing, right? And once all this is put in a longitudinal journey, the ability of AI today is able to actually go ahead and create communication which is more customized, which is more personalized. So I think that's where the marketing is moving. There are multiple use case. What I'm starting is with this whole ability of ours is to create this longitudinal journey is the beginning. It's in very very nascent stage today, but as we move forward, I think 5 6 years down the line, customers can experience more relevant communication coming to them. For example, someone who does not have hypertension, there is no need to teach him about the side effects of antihypertensive drugs or what to do in hypertension, right? And that's where this whole irritation from customers comes in. So that's one piece. Second piece is now our ability to learn which medium, what kind of information people consume is also coming in. So at Facebook versus Instagram versus LinkedIn, how do we channelize our communication, right? So that's another piece which is emerging in this whole space. There is another piece which we are working with Google as well on this cohort based journeys, journey based communication, right? So if I have to give you an example, and it's a hypothetical example, if someone goes to a doctor for knee pain, doctor says go for TKI, the patient first, majority times I would say, will be a denial mode, right? Patient will feel the what they will search online is what to do so that I don't have to go for TKR. Is there a massage oil? Is there something else? Is there some Ayurvedic medicine? The problem is most of the healthcare players, they will be targeting with ads for TKR, come to me, right? So, but patient is looking how to avoid TKR, and that's where this whole journey based communication is what we are developing today, because Google also has evolved. Google has evolved from search based to intent based targeting. They know what's the intent of the for this person. So now, can I go ahead and handhold this patient at that point of time, educate them what is right, so that this person is more aware to do the right things at the right point of time before it is too late. And after some time, if they choose to go for TKR, they will always choose your brand versus any other brand, because you have worked along with the patient for a pretty long time. And it's all about how do you create that content for various channels, for various platforms, and how do you identify in which part of the journey patient is in today, and accordingly you target the communication to the patient. And that is something which may not be prevalent today, but I think that's where this whole data is helping us to move to, in future. That's where the marketing will change, as we move in future. Third piece I would say is, the whole, your bot and LPs and LLMs are helping us. And in fact, even at Multiplier, what you guys are helping us out. If someone is talking on the phone to the agent, we are converting that voice to text, and then this AI engine is going through the text to understand what this person is talking. And if it is a high priority call, if patient is in stress, or rather than waiting for 30 minutes to call them back, that call can be prioritized, right? So there are multiple use cases, something which are already happening, something which are going to happen in future. But data is becoming more and more critical to, from the point of view, how do we personalize the communication, and how do we create this longitudinal journeys to have a lifetime connect with the patient. And then, in few countries, in fact, or few platforms in the world have already created this, that any see most of the people today, the wellness, digital health per se, has grown significantly worldwide, and post covid it has multiplied, right? So today, people wearing wearables, people wearing, monitoring their health through wearables is increased, significantly increased, right? Now, what some of the healthcare players, what they are doing, that patient, whichever part of the journey they are, the moment they start interacting with the hospital, their ability to start educating this patient from that point of view, by absorbing the data from various touch point which this person is already consuming, right, is already there now with few brands. So if I have to give you one example, if there is a person who goes for a run, who goes for cycling, and they monitor their health and all that, god forbid something happen, they land up in the hospital. Now, when they land up in the hospital, he might get registered with the hospital and download the mobile app. Some of the hospitals, what they are doing, they kind of get the data, their health data from the wearables what he is wearing, and the match it with the vitals, which is already available inside the hospital, and start telling him this kind of physiotherapy can help you, this kind of diet can help you to improve or to avoid future episodes, or this kind of exercise load can you can take it. So that's where I think the whole data piece, if you see, opportunities are enormous. But the whole thing is that how do I identify at which touch point I have to get in touch with this patient or person, and then how I start offering various services which can actually help this person from a health point of view. And that's where people start really appreciating um, services from hospital. We are also building bots today which are very very specific, and ChatGPT also again created the ability to have personalized communication with each individual. And that's where the whole healthcare engagement is moving to for us as well. So this is a big topic, but I'm trying to see how I can restrict in few minutes. So but broadly put, I think these are 3 4 examples I wanted to share.
Yeah, I think we said it's, there's so much of experience behind it. There's so much happening at the same
Yeah.
time with the AI advent and wearables and the flow of data. I think in every way, where we are consuming. I think, yeah, integrating everything, as you rightly pointed out, integrating and making sense is the key. And also from a tertiary corporate hospitals perspective, if we see a patient's concern always is also on the cost. They want the cost to be reduced, or they want
Yeah.
unnecessary surgeries to be avoided, where
Yeah.
they can, kind of not spend. I think maybe technology can help in that way from a patient perspective.
Absolutely. So if you see proactive healthcare, many healthcare brands are working on it, early stages, but the whole idea is that can I delay the progression of a disease? We have recently launched a heart failure clinic, digitized heart failure clinic, wherein we have call center where dietitian, nutritionist, your physiotherapist, they are sitting, paramedic staff, and whatever wearable data is coming in, the AI layer is helping to really initiate the call basis on that information which is coming in, and ensuring that people basis on their ejection fraction data as in when they come to the hospital, and various other parameters, just to ensure that the heart failure is delayed or it does not happen. So it's already happening, I think, but in specific conditions. So it's early stages, but as we move forward, the whole idea, as you rightly mentioned, it's how do we really bring in the true proactive healthcare? Because healthcare as an industry, we are reactive. Someone gets a heart attack, we treat them and send them home back, right, healthy. But today, we don't have ability to tell us you will get heart attack in 2 months' time to start doing this. So you don't get heart attack, right? That's where I think the shift is happening. How soon, sooner or later, it will happen, we don't know. But the slow progression towards that, it is there.
True. And I think more so, coming from a global perspective, because India is slowly becoming a global hub for healthcare. And I think it will become the go-to destination for a lot of countries in the next 5 years. And in that sense, the load on the entire hospital chains is going to further increase. The quality expectations are going to even further increase. In all this context, I think we need to start preparing ourselves mentally as well as from a process, from a technology standpoint right away. In that context, do you see any changes that as an industry we need to look at from the global opportunity perspective in healthcare?
Yeah, I think as you rightly mentioned, opportunity is huge. There is medical value travel is huge in India already, growing at a rapid pace, which is expected, to continue that growth momentum for some time. However, the change. So one is the market expansion is happening, right? So say around 80, 90 countries they refer patient. Patient do travel to India today, and largely what we see it's the clinical excellence, the center of excellence for which people do come to us. So there are more complicated cases for which people are coming to us, and at the same point of time to save the money. So someone who can't afford the care of say US or a Singapore, they will kind of land to India. But the shift which is happening or may happen in coming years is, patients from US and UK, and this includes insurance companies from US and UK, are actually looking India as a destination for medical treatment. To begin with, Indian patient coming back to India who are living there, so NRIs coming back to India for the treatment, because today our overall infrastructure, I'm not talking about healthcare, but healthcare infrastructure is one piece. However, when people travel to our country, so overall infrastructure from airport to taxis and the culture of people, service culture of the country becomes a little more important. So all that has also improved over a period of time, and so this is an emerging opportunity for India as a country, which can actually kind of somewhere anywhere 18 to 20 CAGR can come in next 5 years, right? So that's a massive opportunity if it goes the way it is planned. That's a massive opportunity. Now coming to so if you really see how what is going to happen, right? So there are port of entries we need to see. So there are top five countries, five six cities which actually draws international flights largely. So depending on the flight connectivity, these cities are going to have the massive inflows. So Delhi, Bombay remains number one and number two because the majority flights are connected to these cities, and then Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Calcutta to some extent. So they will continue to attract patients coming to these cities. So the hospitals in these cities, will see or should see large influx of international patients. Now, what should they be ready with, right? So, most of the international patients, and that's where the cultural differences are there. So, are we ready to embrace different cultures? So, do we have that language speaking staff? Do we understand what they like to eat, what their habits are? And I think creating that culture, inside the hospital is one piece which one should be ready with. It's not about treating patient in our own way. How do we treat them in their way becomes critical. And there are multiple examples, but if I have to give you one example, say if any Indian is in US hospital and it's a Diwali, and this patient happened to be North Indian, for example, someone wishing them happy Diwali in that hospital makes a lot of difference. So patient may or may not be expecting, but because they feel that this person may come and tell two more people to choose that hospital because you feel you feel home there. And when people are sick, when they are going through pain, when they are undergoing treatment, these small things becomes very very critical, right? So how do we create that culture? How do we create? And then second piece is really on the expectations. Most of these people, and specifically more so if US UK kind of works out, but most of the people who are coming to our country, their expectations are high. They are, most of them, they are little fussy. We feel they are fussy, but what they are expecting is base minimum, right? So if they don't get what they want, because for them that's a base, and we feel because that's not part of our culture, we feel, hey man, why they are showing off that much. So that should not be there. So I think, how do you really create that whole experiential up the game? That is what will be the need of the hour as we go forward. How do I create separate pathways? How do I ensure? And as I was telling you earlier, it is not about clinical treatment, because that we are good already. I don't think clinically anyone can challenge India today worldwide. It's all about creating that ecosystem. One is internal, second is external, because most of the relatives of these patients, they will be staying outside. So the lodges which are there, the restaurants which are nearby, how do we kind of ensure that movement, so that when they come in, they get their type of food, they get their type of stays are comfortable. And that's where hospital have to start working. Because you won't believe, even if you go to Delhi, some of the hospitals are, they fail to attract international patient because there is no lodging nearby. So patient, imagine, who's coming from international, they actually choose another hospital because there is a better lodging system nearby. So clinical outcome, at some point of time, between top 4 5 brand of hospital, customers start seeing kind of at the same platform. So that is where I think this whole ecosystem creation, the experience, and then they have their own patient journeys, because all these topics are long, so I'm trying to restrict to as much as possible. For example, someone coming, he has the local SIM. Someone coming from Afghanistan, SIM stops working when he lands here. What are we doing for that patient, right, to have the seamless connectivity when they go back? What can we do to continue that engagement with that patient, so that we are ensuring their health is there? So it should not be episodic only, but again, using technology, ensuring there's a long term care plan for international patients also may actually differentiate us. Because medical value travel also as a space is becoming more and more competitive. So if you see Turkey, if you see Southeast Asian markets, most of these countries are growing in their medical infrastructure, and they are able to attract a lot of international patients today because of their service differentiation. And if you go to Turkey or many of the Southeast Asian countries, their ecosystem is great. The servicing ecosystem is already there. So if you go to Indonesia, Thailand, they are tourist countries, anyways. So people, they know how to handle international, customers versus India, I think if you compare with some of these countries, there is a gap which need to be filled. So it's not only hospitals. I would definitely feel, the Ministry of Tourism and medical has to come together to ensure that there is a ecosystem created and some sort of policy creation happens, to have a better experience for international patients. If I have to give you example of Philippines, their government has a policy on facilitators as well. So in India, healthcare facilitator does not come under any industry. There are no rules, there are no law, policies, laws and all. So because of which they are also struggling, and when so it becomes unorganized market, right? So people who are trying to build their business in that industry, they are not governed by anybody. They are just doing. So some people are very big, but if you really see that industry, it's huge. 80-90% people are just doing small job here and there, but that's an area which, because they are key people actually in this, right? Because they are the ones who are ensuring that patient get a better experience. What hospitals are not able to help patients today, they are doing that job actually. So how do we really create that unorganized to organized industry may also help growing the overall ecosystem in the country.
Yeah, I think, I mean, again, a lot of information, I think, for also the next generation of leaders, how they should look at patient centricity again as a theme. I could hear that vividly, whether it is an international patient. As you rightly said, those who are Indians and settled there, they can come and relate and they can adjust here better. But what about the international patients? We have to think like them, and we have to provide them that kind of facility or convenience, so that this relationship is not transactional and the trust is there. So we communicate throughout their journey just as we would do for our Indian patients. I think
Yep.
that's the key,
Yes.
making them feel that they are valued. And I think that's a big opportunity for the entire healthcare industry, where maybe AI may take away some jobs, but we are in a position to create 10 times more or 100 times more if we up our ecosystem and our service capability and our sensitivity towards the patients. So I think the opportunities are
Absolutely.
not going to die away. So thank you so much for that insightful answer. I think on a personal note, I would definitely want to know, you are such an experienced leader in healthcare, and you have led transformations, you have risen through various organizations. According to you, what are the key qualities that you think are very important for young leaders to nurture within themselves for success? And what are some of the leadership challenges that you have faced and you learned from them?
Yeah. So, so if you really see from a leadership perspective, if people have to grow in this industry, one is, I would say, three things I will just try to provide here. One is, investing time in the industry. I see many people when they start, they are not very clear. Do they want to continue in this industry or not? And I'm talking specifically people who come in the management or admin side. So there is a set of people like, paramedic staff or nurse and all, they are very clear. So your 70-80% people in healthcare, they are meant for healthcare. But this admin staff, people come from Symbiosis as, as a management trainee. Now they don't know whether this is industry or not. And this early movement from one to another industry may restrict or delay the growth that much. So invest time and try to kind of, stick to the industry so that you can actually, grow with it. Second piece is really on, the product knowledge, because many of the times when people come in, they should invest time in knowing various product. Now that's little challenging though, but I would say as much as possible they should definitely go ahead and invest that, because as a health in healthcare, we deal from birthing till end of life, right? So it's a vast service array, right? So I think no one can become master of all, but at least they should know, emerging areas. For example, if genomics is growing or the future, then what is genomics? They should deep dive into that and all that stuff. Third piece really will be on, knowing customers. So many times we don't know what customer is looking at. It becomes one way street. So what I want to commit, so and as I told you earlier also, right? So I go meet my doctor, internal consulting physician. He will tell me few things, will give me some download, but I don't go beyond that, right? So I don't know what customer will appreciate, and that's where the job of marketer is. They should know what customer is looking from the healthcare brand, and so invest in that. And I'm talking irrespective of function. I'm not saying from a marketing point of view, but knowing customer, whether I'm a service guy, I'm a marketing guy, I'm a ops guy, whatever, it becomes crucial and important. And lastly, I think these are general gyan, but stakeholder management becomes a little more critical, because again, you are not doing job in your own isolation, but there's a lot of interdependencies which are much more in this industry. So ensuring that you work on key stakeholder management, that will help people to grow. And yeah, I think that's what I would say.
So thank you so much. I think again a lot of kind of good advice for the young generation and lots to learn from this episode today. Thank you so much, Madhur sir, for joining
Yes.
us and sharing your incredible journey and insights into both the healthcare space as well as key lessons on leadership, patient centricity. I think we learned really a lot. Your expertise in driving, I think, specifically patient centric and kind strategies in healthcare, building stronger bonds with the patients, and of course, leading to stronger brands as well, has helped us understand how to navigate the challenges in this ever changing healthcare landscape. It's been truly inspiring to have you today. To our listeners, we hope you found this episode of the Pharma Marketing Playbook, Data Gen AI and Beyond, as enlightening as we did, gaining practical strategies and new perspective for navigating the complexities. Thank you once again, Madhur sir, for your time and for being part of this show.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Soumya.
Sure. Thanks. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more such insightful episodes of the playbook. Until next time, this is Soumya signing off. Stay inspired, stay curious, and keep learning. Keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible in pharma marketing. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us in this episode. We hope that the deep insights and knowledge shared today will help your business and brand grow by leaps and bounds. Remember to follow the podcast. And if you wish to know more about Multiplier AI solutions, please visit the links given in show notes.